Y'all, first and foremost, give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the son of the Hamashiach, who some call Yahweh Shai, Yeshua, Yehoshua. We mostly know as Jesus Christ. All right. Got a lesson today on the lunar Sabbath. This ain't even a lesson. All right, this is just a rebuttal. I don't even know if it's a rebuttal. It's a response to priest Hakah and brother Hasad of the Genesis Israelite camp, leaders of the Genesis Israelite camp. They've done a recent video. Now, I seen that they did the video. I seen when they posted it. I seen when it was, they put it up there, prior, before it actually aired. And I had no interest in watching the video. I've done videos debunking the Lunar Sabbath already. I know in the video that I present on the debunking the Lunar Sabbath, they've heard everything. They're just not going to listen. They're just stiff-hearted. They want to follow it the way they want to follow it. It's just, I'm not going to waste my time trying to go back and go over something I know they already looked at and already done got confounded on. I seen one time brother said the Pentecost was 100 days. At that point, when you respond to me with that, I'm done. I know it ain't nothing I could say to you, and it's no length that you won't go to try to prove your point. And we're gonna see this same thing. There's no length that these brothers will go to try to prove a point. Now, that's one thing I want to show y'all first. Let me take this off of here. Let me take that off of there, share my screen, and I want to go here. All right. This is my YouTube. Well, this is Prince of Power YouTube. This ain't my personal YouTube. All right. Somebody else used to run Prince of Power, the page, but usually when I'm just chatting and going about and watching videos is on a different channel, Phineas Joshua. But you could go here. If you go to the YouTube page, you can go search across the channel, type in Lunar, LU, and you got Debunking the Lunar Sabbath 2021, and you got part 2, 2021. All right. You got, watch this. Hold on. When does the Sabbath start? That was January 2020. When does the Sabbath start? You got that video. You also got who changed the Sabbath. Let me see if that's there. No. Let me just see Sabbath. Did the church change the Sabbath? Okay. Did the church change the Sabbath? Yes, January 22nd. And maybe after this, I may open the slides up for that class. If we need more on this, I'll open the slide, because this is a slide presentation. Going through all the economical councils, all the different councils, and showing you the council and canon law, the Council of Laodicea, canon law, I want to say 19 or 21, somewhere in between there, showing you where they changed the Sabbath. It said you better not rest on that day like the Jews do. We're going to do it on this day. Which is more evidence that that they were doing it on this particular day. But I just wanted to show y'all that, to show you that the information is there. If you want to get the information, did the church change the Sabbath? You have that there. When did the Sabbath start? You have that there. When does it start? Like, when does a day start? Is it evening? Is it the morning? You have that there. In the Lunar Sabbath being debunked. You have that there. So when I seen them doing this, man, we done went over this already.
56?
We done went over it already. I didn't want to watch it. I didn't care to watch it. I wasn't going to do no response video to it. But then a sister hits the comments and says, Brother Phineas, I just watched these brothers Genesis, and I'm confused. They saying that worshiping on Saturday and keeping the Sabbath on Saturday is pagan. And that we're worshiping, I don't know if she said that in the comments, that we're worshiping Saturn, but that's ultimately what these brothers have concluded, that you're worshiping Saturn when you worship on Saturday. And Saturday does, deal with Saturn. But to say that Israelites are dealing with Saturday, and, it's problematic. All right. And so we're not even going to go on offense. This is not a video of me showing them some other sources that they didn't. I'm just dealing with what they said. This video is only about what they said. And I'm going to show you their deception. I'm going to show you that these people are liars. And they're doing this on purpose. They're either doing it on purpose or they're demons. And they have some spiritual demon on them that's blinding them, making them see something that's not there. Or these jokers know what they're doing and they're purposely deceiving the people. Because they so stiff-hearted, they don't want to say, you know what, we are bad. This is really, okay, this lunar stuff really ain't it, Instead of just changing. So let's deal with the information. Let's deal with what they're saying. And I ain't watch all that video. This only like the first 3 points. And really after this, ain't no need to watch the rest of it. I can't trust you.
56 to 120, right?
Hold on.
56 to 120.
This is the Publius Cornelius Tacitus, Roman historian. All right, and they banking on, he lived around 56 AD. I guess that's the 120 AD.
Right? Tacitus Histories, Book 5.
All right, Tacitus.
What does he say?
What does he say? What does Tacitus say?
The Jews observed Saturday to honor Saturn as it was the Roman ordinance.
Did Tacitus say that? He put it on a slide. He put on there Tacitus Historians Book 5. Is that what Tacitus said? And he knows that you're not gonna go look what Tacitus said. We're gonna look today. First off, let me just show you this. Let me show you this. And we gonna come back to this. Let me show you this. Hold on, my good people. Bear with me. I know y'all anxious, especially my Genesisites. I know you're anxious. We gonna show you this. Tacitus and the defamation of the Jews. Tacitus hated the Jews. You see, he lived around 56 AD. He wrote this book after 70 AD, after the Roman Jews wars. Of course, Romans hate Jews. We just tried to buck against them. Jews do not fare very well at the hands of Cornelius Tacitus. The great consular historian devoted 13 chapters to them at the beginning of the book 5 of his histories. Chapters constituting a digression from his main text. It's a digression from his text. But he hated Joker so much he digressed from the subject he was really writing about to get these jokers 13 chapters of how he felt, of his disdain. That's what it's saying. From his main text, but a remarkably extensive one. Tacitus sets them at the point where he intends to embark on the narrative of the Roman siege of Jerusalem in 70 CE. The reason, as he puts it, is that since he is about to relate the demise of a famous city, he thought it inappropriate to say something about its origins. All right, so he starts book 5 talking about how they destroyed these Jews. Something you need to understand first, that Tacitus is a Roman who hates Jews. Okay, but we're gonna come back to this. This ain't what we dealing with. All right, this ain't what we dealing with. I want y'all to hear again what he said here. Hold on. Let's go back.
56 to 120, right? Tacitus Histories, book 5. What does he say? The Jews observed Saturday to honor Saturn as it was the Roman ordinance. Wow. So now he's saying that.
Wow. Fake, man. Like, when you know what I know, once you know what I know, once you continue to get through this video, you're gonna go back and you're gonna look at some of these expressions. You're gonna be like, these jokers is really some demons. This is just like what my brother say. What that joker name? Amazing. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Put it in the comments.
At the Jews who were in Rome, they had to keep the Sabbath, to keep Saturday sacred, because it was a national ordinance for Rome to worship Saturn on that day. But we need a bomb.
They had to keep it. We had to keep it on Saturday and worship. We changed the Sabbath to Saturday when we went on the Romans, because we had to worship Saturday the way they worshipped it, which they worship Saturn. And we need to drop a bomb for that.
Everybody, I need y'all to understand what that source just said. This is a primary source too.
I need you to understand. Then he said this is a primary.
This isn't some guy that lives hundreds of years later. This is a guy who's living it, watching it, experiencing it.
He's watching it and experiencing it. This is his words. Jews observe Saturday to honor Saturn.
Experiencing it and wrote it down. The origin, the genesis of our ancestors celebrating the
origin, the genesis came during the time of Christ. So you saying, like, y'all don't even understand what you saying. Christ kept the Sabbath wrong his whole life. He says they went into the synagogue as their customs were, and he opened up the book of Isaiah. You saying he did that on the 7th day? He did that on the day of Saturn? He did that to worship Saturn. Jokers out there picking corn. Man, why your disciples are breaking the Sabbath? They were doing that for Saturn? Christ ain't never keep the Sabbath correctly? Y'all don't even be thinking this stuff out before you put this information out, man. What are y'all doing? And that's what I'm saying. It's gotta be something spiritual. I can't believe y'all smarter than this. That's what I give you. I know you don't. Let's go to Tacitus. Let's go there. Because they didn't want you to go there. They want you to just accept what they saying. They want you to just accept what they saying. Hold on, we here. And these sources are going to be linked in the description box so you can read it for yourself. All right? You can read it for yourself. Book 5. All right, we already read that it's going to start with, Israel's destruction of 70 AD. All right, he lived through it. He's writing this. All right, he's documenting this. They had their triumph. Okay, now we ain't gonna read that. We gonna read all the way to here. We gonna read all the way down to here. All right, we ain't gonna get into the character of Judea. All right, bear with us. He says, as I'm about to relate the last days of a famous city, it seems appropriate to throw some light on its origin. So now Tacitus is about to give us the origin story of the Israelites. Some say that the Jews were fugitives from the island of Crete, who settled on the nearest coast of Africa. Who is the some? Who is that? Primary. So who is the some that say this? So you got some people out here saying it's probably Romans. Man, these jokers came from some Creek island. They were some fugitives that came from some Creek island. That's what some say. Who settled to the nearest coast of Africa about the time when Saturn was driven from his throne by the power of Jupiter. He already throwing in his Roman theology in our origin story. Trying to describe us, but he's not describing us to us. He's describing us to Romans. And documenting from what Romans tell him. Some say evidence of this is sought in the name. They get evidence from this because of their name. Well, what's the name, Tacitus? There was a famous mountain in Crete called Ida. The neighboring tribe, the Idai, whatever that is in Greek, came to be called Judai. All right, there was a tribe in Crete called a neighboring tribe from Crete, from this mountain in Crete called Idai, came to be called Judai by a barbarous lengthening of the national name. Others, who are these others? Some other jokers assert that in the reign of Isis, the overflowing population of Egypt, led by Hieronymus and Judas, discharged itself into neighboring countries. So some other people say that they came from Egypt during the time of the reign of Isis. And it had an overflow of their population that bled into over here, into some neighboring countries. Many again, some other jokers, say that they were a race of Ethiopian origin, who in the time of King Sepphoris were driven by fear and hatred of their neighbors to seek a new dwelling place. So other people say, well, they came from Ethiopia. And they were in fear, they fled Ethiopia looking for a new place to dwell. Others describe them as the Assyrian horde, not having sufficient territory, took possession of part of Egypt and founded cities of their own in what is called the Hebrew country. You think any Israelite told them this? You think any Hebrew told them this as an origin? Lying on the borders of Syria. Others again, now we got some others, Mr. Primary Source. Others again assign a very distinguished origin to the Jews, alleging that they were the Salami, a nation celebrated in the poems of Homer. All right, it's one of their gods writing these poems. This is the nation that was written in their deity's poem. Who called the city which were founded Salama after their own name. Most writers, so got some more people, got some more writers, agree in stating that once a disease which horribly disfigured the body broke out over Egypt, and the king Bakharis, seeking a remedy, consulted the oracle of Haman and was bidden to cleanse his realm and to convey into some foreign land this race detested by God. So other people are saying these jokers came from Egypt when they got some darn plague upon them, and their God had to go, what did they say? They told their king to go consult with some oracle to clean them and then get these detestable people to some other land. They detested by God. This is from where he pulled his information from. And this ain't even it, y'all. We ain't even got to the point yet. Did he say it even right? Did he even pull what Tacitus said correctly? The people who had been collected after diligent search, finding themselves left in a desert, sat for the most part in stupor of grief, till one of the exiles, Moses, or whatever how they said, but it's Moses by name, warned them not to look for any relief from God or man. That's what Moses told them. That's what this historian is writing. These people are telling us that, they went out there from these boys, left Egypt, and then some man named Moses, where they was out there in the darn stupor and grief, told them don't trust in God. Don't trust in man. This where you pulled your source from? Forsaken as they were of both, but to trust themselves. Taken from their heaven-sent leader, that man who should first help them to be quit of their present misery. They agreed in utter ignorance. They agreed, and in utter ignorance began to advance at random. Nothing, however, distressed them so much as the scarcity of water, and they had sunk ready to perish in all directions over the plain. When a herd of wild asses was seen to retire from their pasture to a rock shaded by a tree, Moses followed them and, guided by the appearance of a grassy spot, discovered an abundance of spring water. Not Moses hit the rock. And it seems like, okay, well, we're getting a little bit of the story right now, but now he trying to put his own. They trying to put logic to these stories, that these really wasn't miraculous stories that are written in. He ain't hit no rock. The Joker seen some donkeys coming by, and he followed the donkeys and found a grass area, and the donkeys led him to some water. Sit up there talking about, man, nobody deliver you out of Egypt and kill all the newborns. Some plague happened and y'all came out of there. And then Moses made himself a leader and told him don't trust God. This is who you glean from. Moses followed them and, guided by the appearance of a grassy spot, discovered an abundance of spring water. This furnished relief. After a continuous journey for 6 days, on the seventh day, they possessed themselves of a country, from which they expelled the inhabitants, in which they founded a city and a temple. 7 days they was in the wilderness. And then they built them a city. And then they built them a temple. Moses, wishing to secure for the future his authority over the nation, gave them Moses made it into the promised land. Lord in Christ, this is what y'all gleaning from. This is your source. This is what you need to drop bombs for. Wow. And then watch this right here. Theories of Jewish origins. It's theories. We don't know. Moses, wishing to secure the future of his authority over the nations, gave them a novel form of worship. Moses is giving us a worship opposed to all that is practiced by other men, things sacred with us. Who is the us? The Romans. Moses told them don't deal with none of that stuff that we do. That stuff that's sacred to us, Moses said don't fool with it. letting you know that this he's writing to a Roman audience. It's important. With them have no sanctity. While they allow that which is forbidden, allow what with us is forbidden. In their holy place, they have consecrated an image of the animal by which guidance they found deliverance from their long and thirsty wanderings. Where did they find their long and thirsty wanderings from? From the darn donkeys. So now Tacitus telling us inside of the temple we had a donkey. This is where you pulled your source from and dropped bombs from a joker who said Jews had worshipped a donkey. Like, come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. In their holy place, they have consecrated an image of the animal by whose guidance they found deliverance. Moses gave these jokers a donkey to worship. And I'll leave it alone. They slay the rams, seemingly in derision of Haman, and they sacrificed the ox because the Egyptians worshipped it as a piss. Telling us he's describing why we worship the ass and why we worship the ox and why we worship and why we sacrifice these things. They abstain from swine's flesh in consideration of what they suffered when they were inflicted by the leprosy to which this animal is liable. So we not eating pork because of leprosy. By their frequent fasts, they shall bear witness to a long hunger of former days. And the Jewish bread made without leaven is retained as a memorial of their hurried seizure of corn. We are told that the rest, watch this. This is what we came for, y'all. This is why we here. We are told, who are told? The Romans are told. And he's just regurgitating these theories. We are told that the rest of the Sabbath was adopted because this day brought with it termination of toils. First and foremost. We are told that the rest of the Sabbath day was adopted because the day brought with it a termination of their toils. Now, this is the part here. After a while, the charm of indolence beguiled them into giving up the seventh year also to inaction. So they felt so good about keeping this seventh day and not doing no work. They said, you know what, man, let's keep it on the seventh year also. Let's do it on the seventh year also. Not that it's in the text. Not that we got to let the land rest on the seventh year. Not that the land has a Sabbath also. And that on the sixth year, he's going to give us a double portion, an abundance. No, they just felt so good about keeping the Sabbath that day. They said, man, let's do it every seventh year also. That's where we got our source from. After a while, the charm of indolence beguiled them into giving up the seventh year also to inaction. But others say that it is an observance in honor of Saturn. Does Tacitus say that? No, he's telling you that others have told them that. Well, who told them that they just did it because they wanted to rest from their toils? It says, but others say that it is an observance in honor of Saturn. either from primitive elements of their faith having been transmitted, from Ida, that mountain in Crete, where they told you that Ida ended up turning into Judah from some barbarous Lithian, and really these jokers are some Creeks. And that deity that they worship is really Saturn. And you dropped a bomb? Now, I want to go back and I want to look back at that slide and see what he said. My thing is, why didn't you just quote exactly word for word what is written in Tacitus' book? Why in the world did you summarize? Why are you summarizing this joker's book?
56 to 120, right? Tacitus History, book 5. What does he say?
Where is the but some others say? Where is that at? He said, Jews observe Saturday to honor Saturn as it was a Roman ordinance. Did we just read that? Is that what that says? Hold on, y'all. Check my spirit too, man. This joker done got me. Does it say because they were forced into some Roman ordinance? But others say that it's an observance in honor of Saturn, either from a primitive elements of their faith having been transmitted from Ida, who said to have shared flight of that god and to have founded the race, or from the circumstance that, watch this, and this ain't even, they really ain't even talking about the 7th day, I don't think. I think they still just talking about the 7 years. The circumstance of the 7 stars, while rule of the destinies of men, Saturn moves in the highest orbit with the mightiest power, and that many of the heavenly bodies complete their revolutions and courses in multiples of 7. That's why he's saying, or not he, but others are saying, that's why they like the 7. Because Saturn goes around the Earth, and it goes around and it completes and passes Jupiter with the 7 stars, and it goes around in the 7 years, and this is why they do it. Theories of Jewish origins. This is where you glean from and try to make it fact. And this is why we have the thumbnail looking the way it looks. Because I know you read this. And you chose not to quote this. You chose not. See what I got highlighted? You chose not to do that. And copy that and put that on your slide. You instead worded it like this is what he's just saying, that this is the fact that they were doing this because of this. And we have, this is the proof that we have. And you built this man up like he's some credible source for Jewish history. And this joker said, donkey saved us in the wilderness. And we have a story. We had a story of the talking donkey, right? That happened in the wilderness. They done heard some of these stories and they done remixed them and made them logical and tried to fit it into their realm and fit it around their gods. And your ignorant butt done picked them up and tried to sell it to the people as it is fact. To try to support your doctrine. Why? What's what do you get out of that? Trying to deceive the people. Man, just lying on, bro, man, you know how dangerous that is? You don't fear the Lord. You don't fear God. You don't, bro. You don't fear God. Let's keep reading. We're going to read down here, all the way here. Let's read the next paragraph, y'all. And we're going to get back to the video. Don't go nowhere. We ain't done. It get worse. This worship, however, introduced is upheld by its antiquity. All their other customs, which are at once perverse and disgusting, owe their strength to their very badness. The most degraded out of other races. You talking about God is a racist. Boy, y'all. Oh, man. Scorn in their natural beliefs brought to them their contributions and presents. This augmented the wealth of the Jews, as also did the fact that among themselves they are inflexibly honest and ever ready to show compassion. Though they regard the rest of mankind with all the hatred of enemies. They hate everybody else, but among themselves, they show compassion. From what he said. Where we at? They sit apart at meals, they sleep apart, and though as a nation they are singularly prone to lust. They abstain from intercourse with foreign women. Huh? Why didn't you read that? When you did your lesson, talking about, man, you could sleep with foreign women. Deuteronomy 7 don't say it. 7:3 don't say that. And then you don't read 1 Kings 11. You know that's there. You know the declaration that Ezra made. Then you sat here and poured Tacticus, and even Tacticus is telling you they didn't sleep with foreign women. You read this. Among themselves, nothing is unlawful. Circumcision was adopted by them as a mark of difference from other men. Those who come over to their religion, converts, proselytes, people from other nations joining the Jews, they adopt the practice. What a practice do they adopt? Circumcision. And this is why the Pharisees will say, well, if these Gentiles want to come in, they need to be circumcised. And then Paul and the other apostles, they made, through the Holy Spirit, made a decree that, no, they don't need to be circumcised. But let's just read what Tacticus, the hatred of Jews, the hater of Jews, we'll see what he says. Circumcision was adopted them as a mark of a difference from other men. Those who come over to their religion adopt the practice and have the lesson first instilled. Drop a bomb for Tacticus. And have this lesson first instilled in them. What's the lesson that they have? First, they get circumcised, and then they have to agree to this very first lesson. What is the first lesson, Tacticus? To despise all gods, to disown their country, and to set at naught parents, children, and brethren. Still, they provide for the increase of their numbers. It is a crime among them to kill any newly born infant. Abortion anyway. They hold that the souls of all who perish in battle or by the hands of the executioner are immortal. Hence, a passion for propagating their race and contempt for death. They are wont to bury rather than to burn the dead. Following in this the Egyptian custom, they bestow the same care on the dead, and they hold the same belief about the lower world. Quite different is their faith about things divine. The Egyptians worship many animals and images in monstrous form. The Jews have purely mental conceptions of deity as one in essence. They call those profane who make representations of God in human shape out of perishable materials. They believe that being to be supreme and eternal, neither capable of representation nor of decay. Then why you sit up there and talking about we had a donkey in there? Why are you giving us these theories? Because it's just theories. He wasn't trying to give you the truth there. He was just giving you theories. Jokers theorizing that these jokers had a donkey out of there in the wilderness and they put it in the temple. Now he's saying, well, they ain't there. They really don't make them kind of deities and do none of that. Because that's why he named that particular portion there, Theories of Jewish Religion. He gave you theories. And then our brother gleaned from the theories and put it in there as if it was fact. Now he's telling you that we didn't mess with no kind of animal. And that we said our God can't be in the form and shape of any animal. The flattery is not paid to the, let me see, they believe that therefore do not allow any images that stand in their cities, much less in their temples. This flattery is not paid to their kings, nor dishonor to our emperors. From the fact, however, that their priests use a chant to the music of flutes and cymbals, and to wear garlands of ivy, and that a golden vine was found in the temple. Some have thought that they worship Father Liber, the conqueror of the East, though their institution. Some have thought that they worship Father Liber, but their institutions do not by any means harmonize with this what? Theory. For Liber established a festive and cheerful worship, while the Jewish religion is tasteless and mean. He says the Jews' religion is tasteless and mean. That's tacticals. That's who your brothers gleaned from. Let's go back here. So did it say that? Did he was he genuine with that source? Or was it just a mistake? He just didn't see it right. Let's go back to the video, y'all. We not done. We already at an hour, y'all. I'm sorry. Well, we got to get through it. I don't want to go back here. I don't want to come back here. Like, I don't like seeing brothers like this.
56 to 120, right? Tacitus, Histories, Book 5. What does he say? The Jews observed Saturday to honor Saturn as it was the
Y'all, I only got a 5-minute video clip here.
Roman ordinance. Wow. So now he's saying that the Jews who were in Rome, they had to keep the Sabbath, to keep Saturday.
Look how he's doing his arms, trying to get it out. Lying.
Sacred.
Hold on, y'all.
Ow. So now he's saying that the Jews who were in Rome, they had to keep the Sabbath, to keep Saturday sacred, because it was a national ordinance for Rome to worship Saturn on that day. But we need a bomb.
Everybody, I need y'all to understand what that source just said. This is a primary source.
Did you read the source, Hasad? You ain't got to answer that.
Too. This isn't some guy that lives hundreds of years later. This is a guy who's living it, watching it, experiencing it, and wrote it down. The origin, the genesis of our ancestors celebrating the Sabbath, Friday night to Saturday night, it says Jews observe Saturday to honor Saturn.
Is that what it said? We just read it, y'all.
Here's the question, everybody. Do you honor Saturn? Do you honor Saturn, or do you honor Yahweh? That's the question. Quick scripture, Sirach 34 and verse 4. Of an
some of these early church fathers can be considered historians. We're not
Why are you going to the church fathers? The church did not like Jews.
Subscribing to their theology, whose full name was Quintus Septimius Florence Tertullian. He lived approximately one.
I want to say Tertullian is created the Trinity.
155 to 220, right? What does he say in Apology chapter 16? If we devote Sunday to rejoicing from a far different reason than sun worship, we have some resemblance to those of you who devote the day of Saturn to ease and luxury, proving that Rome is taking Saturday as a sacred day, though they too go far away from Jewish ways, of which indeed they are ignorant. This source is literally saying that people are honoring and worshiping Saturn without even knowing it.
Is that what that's saying? Is that what that source is saying? Then I'm going to show you again the manipulation. You see how he put the quotes there? Because this is the direct. He's directly quoting it. Why didn't he do that with the first one? Why he didn't do that with the first source? Why he tried to flip it and put it into his own words? Now he's directly quoting this source. But again, it's out of context. He doesn't see the artist. He's blind. He don't even know if he know. I don't know. I want to say he knows. I don't want to think that some spirit is on him and that this blindness is on him and he just finna deteriorate and just, I want to just think that he's just being manipulative. Let's live.
This is what the source is saying.
This is what the source is saying. So apology chapter 60. We gonna go to the source. He's gonna tell you telling me that's what it said. We just gonna go to the source. And again, this source will be in the. Hold on, y'all. I ain't on there yet with y'all. Hold on. This source will be in the description. All right. Source will be in the description, y'all. We read the Tacticus, right? Logos. And we got chapter 16 up here of Tertullian. It says, and this all we got to read right here, y'all. Okay, it's in here. It's in here somewhere. It says, for like some others, you are under the delusion that our God is an ass's head, a donkey head. Okay. Now who is Tertullian? He's a church father. Okay. And so he's saying like others, you think that our God is a donkey head. Like who's the others? Like the others that Tacticus was talking about. He's saying, man, you stupid, just like these other jokers talking about our darn our God is a donkey head. Cornelius Tacticus first put this notion into people's minds. How you gonna use two sources combating each other? This source telling you that Cornelius ain't got no sense. In the 5th book of his histories, which he quoted, beginning the narrative of the Jewish war with an account of the origin of the nations and theorizing at his pleasure about the origin, as well as the name and the religion of the Jews. He states that they've been delivered, or rather in his opinion, expelled from Egypt, in the crossing of vast plains of Arabia, where water is so scanty that there was extremity from thirst, but taking the guidance of wild asses, which it was thought might be seeking water after feed, and they discovered a fountain, and thereupon, in their gratitude, they consecrated a head of this species of animal. Excuse me. And as Christianity is nearly allied to Judaism, from this, I suppose it was taken for granted that we too are devoted to the worship of the same image. But that said, Cornelius Tacticus, the very opposite of tactic in telling lies, he used these sources back to back, y'all. He read this and still put it in front of you. Informs us in the work already mentioned that when Cneius Pompeius captured Jerusalem, he entered the temple to see arcana of the Jewish religion, but found no image there. Yet surely if worship was rendered to any visible object, the very place for its exhibition would be the shrine. And that all that more that the worship, however unreasonable, had no need there to fear outside beholders. So again, he's telling you the same thing I was just telling you from reading the source. How at one point he's saying we worship in donkeys, then the next point he's saying we don't worship, and then how did they go in the temple after they captured and found no image inside of the temple? Surely if we were gonna have a image of a donkey anywhere, it's gonna be inside of the temple. But he tells you in the exact same book that there ain't no darn image in that temple when they went in there. And they were beside themselves. Like, wait a minute. Captured into the temple, he found no image there. Yet surely if worship was rendered however unreasonable, for interest to the holy place was permitted to the priests alone, while all vision was more that the worship, however no vision was forbidden to others. I'm sorry. All right, all vision was forbidden to others by an outspread curtain. You will not, however, deny that all the beasts of burden, and not parts of them, but animals entire, are with the goddess Epone, objects to worship with you. It is this, perhaps, which displeases you in us, that while your worship here is universal, we do homage only to the ass. Then, if any of you think we render superstitious adoration to the cross, in that adoration he is share with us. If you offer homage to a piece of wood at all, it matters little what is it like when the substance is the same. It is of no consequence the form. If you have the very body of God, and yet how far does the Athenian palace differ from the stock of the cross? So this is him, the church father, trying to talk to Romans, having a conversation with Romans. It's not written to Jews. This is him having a conversation to Romans, him trying to defend the cross. In the defense of what all of these foreign, objects you making of wood. We show no deities are derived. We have shown before, shapeless wood, every stake up position, a palace. The Pharian creeds, as she puts up God entirety and complete. We have shown that uncarved scale, a mere rough stake, a piece of shapeless wood. Every stake fixed in an upright position, a portion of the cross, we render our adoration. If you will have it so, to God entire and complete. We have shown before that your deities are derived from shapes modeled from the cross. He's trying to tell them that your deities come from the cross. But you also worship victories, for in your trophies, the cross is the heart of the trophy. The camp, this is an argument between the cross, and other deities, other carved images. Ain't got nothing to do with us. The camp religion of the Romans is all through a worship of the standards, a setting standard above all gods. Well, all those images decking out the standards are ornaments of crosses. All those hanging of your standards and banners are robes of crosses. I praise your zeal. You would not consecrate crosses unclothed or unadorned. Others, again, certainly with more information and greater verisimilitude, believe that the Son is our God. So now there's other people, Romans, saying that the Son is the Christian's God. Keep speaking for the Christians. Y'all saying that the Son is our God. We shall be counted Persians, perhaps. Maybe you think we're Persians, though we do not worship the orb of day painted on a piece of linen cloth. Seemingly, I guess the Persians that's what the Persians did. I guess they would paint the sun on a linen cloth. This Christian Tertullian said we don't do that. We worship the same God that the Jews do. And wasn't no darn donkey inside of their temple, having himself everywhere in his own disc. The idea, no doubt, was originated from being known to turn to the east in prayer, saying that, and now he's saying that y'all got this idea. Who's the audience? You Romans. Y'all got this idea thinking because we pray to the east. So since we pray to the east, you thinking we praying to the sun. And where did they get praying from the east from? But you, many of you, who is the you? The Romans. Also under pretense sometimes of worshiping the heavenly bodies. All right. Sometimes y'all worship the stars and the moons and all of that. You move your lips in the direction of the sunrise. Watch this. In the same way, if we devote Sunday to rejoicing, this is the Christian saying, look, and when we the same way, we devote Sunday to worshiping. Now it's starting here. But you, many of you, also under the pretense sometimes of worshiping heavenly bodies, he's saying that you do the same thing sometimes. I know that y'all ain't worshiping it like that. You ain't doing what we doing, but we're facing the east, praying. You doing the same thing sometimes when you worship the stars, but we doing something different. Move your lips in the direction of the sunrise. In the same way, if we devote Sunday to rejoicing from a far different reason than sun worship. We're doing this. If we're doing Sunday worship in the same way, we devote Sunday rejoicing. We devote Sunday worship from a far different reason than Sunday worship, than sun worship. It's what this Christian is saying. All right, we're very different. This is not sun worship. We are worshiping and rejoicing on Sunday, but it's far different. It's not us. It's not the same reason that y'all are worshiping, that y'all do sun worship. They're doing it because they don't want to do it on Saturday like the Jews were doing it. We have some resemblance. Listen, we have some resemblance to those of you. We have some resemblance to those of you. Who's the you? It's the Romans. Let's go back. In the same way, if we devote Sunday, this is conversation between a Christian and Romans, and a Christian and pagans. The Christian is telling them, look, when we rejoice on Sunday, we not doing what y'all doing when you're worshiping the sun. And I know and I understand that when we pray to the east and you sometimes trying to worship all of these deities in the sky, you sometimes pray towards the sunrise. I know that we're not doing the same thing. I understand we're not doing the same thing. So in the same way, If we devote Sunday to rejoicing, it's far different than sun worship that you do. All right. Also, we have some resemblance to those of you. We also have some resemblance to who? We have some resemblance to those of you who devote the day of Saturn to ease and luxury. All right. We have some resemblance to those of you. Who is the you? The Romans. The Romans who devote the day of Saturn to ease and luxury. They doing that. Though they go far away from Jewish ways. But they're not doing what the Jews are doing. Though they go far away from Jewish ways, of which indeed they are ignorant. Who are ignorant? The Romans. The Romans are ignorant of the Jews' ways. But to worship Saturday, Romans have ease and luxury. And they are slick copying the Jews, even though they're ignorant of the Jews' way of life. Do I need to go through that again? The source is in there. You can play it back. I put the sources in the description. Read it for yourself. But lately, a new edition of our God has been given to the world in that great city. It originated with a certain vile man who was wont to hire himself out to cheat the wild beasts, and who exhibited a picture with his inscription, "The God of the Christians, born of an ass." Now you done made us some God saying that this man was born from a donkey. He had the ears of an ass with a hoof of 1 foot, carried a book, and wore a toga. Both name and the figure gave us amusement. Gave who amusement? The Christians. Jews aren't in this discussion. But our opponents ought straightway to have done homage to this by-informed divinity, for they have acknowledged and wore a toga, and have acknowledged God's dog-headed and lion-headed, with a horn and a buckle and a ram and a goat like lions, with serpent legs and wings spouting from the back of their foot. These things we have discussed ex abundantly. Meaning, and I don't even know Greek, but I know that's abundantly, brother. That we might not seem willingly to pass by any rumor against us unrefuted. We gonna check all that stuff y'all talking about. This is Christian stuff. We gonna check it. We ain't gonna let y'all talk all that foolishness. We ain't gonna let you bring up Tacticus and try to use Tacticus against us to tell us anything about how we observe and how we keep certain religious things. We gonna refute that. And that's all I'm doing here today. Having thoroughly cleared ourselves, we turn now to an exhibition of what our religion really is. Did it say what he said it said? Let's go back. We had an hour, y'all. I know a lot of you gone. I know a lot of you couldn't stand there and listen to that, but the sources is there.
56 to 120, right? Tacitus, Histories, Book 5. What does he say? The Jews observed Saturday to honor Saturn as it was the Roman ordinance. Wow. So now he's saying that the Jews who were in Rome, they had to keep the Sabbath, to keep Saturday sacred, because it was a national ordinance for Rome to worship Saturn on that day. But we need a bomb.
And Everybody, I need y'all to understand what that source just said. This is a primary source too. This isn't some guy that lives hundreds of years later. This is a guy who's living it, watching it, experiencing it, and
These
wrote
are
it down.
scholars.
The origin, the genesis of our ancestors celebrating the Sabbath, Friday night to Saturday night. It said,
y'all get out of that. You get out of that varsity, man.
As Jews observe Saturday to honor Saturn. Here's the question, everybody. Do you honor Saturn? Do you honor Saturn or do you honor Yahweh? That's the question. Quick scripture, Sirach 34 and verse 4. Of an
Some of these early church fathers can be considered historians. We're not subscribing to their theology. Whose full name was Quintus Septimius Florence Tertullian. He lived approximately 155 to 220, right? What does he say?
He said, we're not subscribing to their theology yet.
In Apology, chapter 16. If we devote Sunday to rejoicing from a far different reason than sun worship, we have some resemblance to those of you who devote the...
Who is the you? Romans. We have some resemblance to you Romans.
Day of Saturn to ease and luxury.
See, we do it on Sunday. We worship on Sunday and rejoice on Sunday, but it has nothing to do with what you're doing with your sun worship. And in that, we have a resemblance because on Saturday, you Romans go out there with ease and luxury. And that's similar to what the Jews do, but you don't know nothing about the Jews.
Resemblance to those of you who devote the day of Saturn to ease and luxury, proving that their Rome is taking Saturday as a sacred day, though they too go far away from Jewish ways, of which indeed they are ignorant. This source is literally saying,
though they too go far away from Jewish ways, of which indeed they are ignorant. Who is the they? The Romans. All right, you worshiping Saturday, but it's nothing like what the Jews are doing. And you're ignorant of what the Jews do. The source is in the link. Read it for yourself.
that people are honoring and worshiping Saturn without even knowing it.
And he read that and thought that people are worshiping Saturn without even, and he can do that there with their wording because you don't know the context. You're not reading it. He can put that up there and he did. He confused all of y'all. And that's why I had to do the video. Once I watched the video, I'm like, oh no, this is spiritual. That sister crying out. That might have been the Lord. That might have been the Lord said, man, go correct this foolishness. Do you hear this? Matt, go check this foolishness, man.
This is what the source is saying, right? And this is what our people are doing today. Ignorant idolatry, right? Let's keep going.
Right? You don't know what he's talking about. He trying to sell something.
On. During this time, the Jews were in bondage and subjugated to the Romans. The Jews were in bondage and subjugated to the Romans when they were delivered the beast calendar.
They were subjugated to the Romans. This joker told, what was that, man? John 8:32. You know, seek the truth and the truth shall set you free. That Pharisee said, man, we children of Abraham. We ain't never been in bondage. Like, joker, what are you talking about? We in bondage. We need to be set free, bro. We ain't in no bondage. But watch what this brother here uses. All right. There ain't no source here. These are just slides that he wrote out. But let's see what he's going to use to show us that we were in bondage.
Right? Galatians 4:25.
Galatians 4:25. And I said, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. There ain't no way.
For this, Agar is Mount Sinai in Arabia, and answereth to Jerusalem, which now is and is in bondage with her children. I think this is not up for disputation.
That brother said this is not up for disputation. What made him say that? Everything up for dispute. What made him say that? Looking down. This is not up for disputation. This is a demon.
This is not up for disputation.
This is not up for disputation.
The beast calendar, right? Galatians 4:25. For this, Agar is Mount Sinai in Arabia, and answereth to Jerusalem, which now is and is in bondage with her children. I think
Hasad, brother, you see what he doing? Can you see? Can you see? Can you see? That joker is showing us that we in bondage from Galatians 4:25. You should know why this is problematic. Hold on. Let me pull up a new one here. Oh my goodness. Y'all. Galatians chapter 4. He started at 25, right? You got to break this down. I need to break this milk down from a scholar. Do I need to break down milk to a scholar who's charging people to go to his varsity? Do we need to break down milk, or is the brother just being deceptive? Verse ahead of this says, which things are an allegory. You trying to show me something of a physical bondage of Jerusalem from an allegory. I know you know this. And so let's just deal with this. Let's just deal with what is it saying? Since we here. Tell me, ye that desire to be under the law, do ye not hear the law? For it is written that Abraham had two sons, one by a bondmaid and the other by a free woman. Okay, you had one that was born of a slave, another that was born of a free woman. But he who was of the bondwoman, was born after the flesh. He that was born under the slave woman, under Hagar, was made from the flesh. They grew impatient. Take my handmaiden. God's taking too long. That child was of the flesh. But he of the free woman was by promise. The free woman is Sarah. It was promised that she would have a child, even at her old age. Which things are an allegory? For these are the two covenants. You got one covenant that he's allegorically using Hagar and Sarah, a slave and a free woman, one of the flesh and one of the promise. He's comparing these also to the covenants. For these two are the covenants. The one from Mount Sinai. The one from Mount Sinai, which is gendereth to bondage. The one from Mount Sinai, it gendereth slavery. It's Hagar. Mount Sinai is Hagar, which is Hagar. For this Hagar is Mount Sinai in Arabia, and answereth to Jerusalem, which is now. Those that are in Jerusalem at this very moment this epistle is being written, they're still dealing with Mount Sinai. They're still dealing with the first covenant. Which they are in bondage to. And is in bondage with her children. Why are they in bondage? Because they're still under the first covenant. That's why they're in bondage. Not because of no darn Romans. But Jerusalem, which is above, a heavenly Jerusalem, is free, which is the mother of us all. Sarah. This is of the two covenants. That first covenant is going to have you in Mount Sinai and have you in bondage. And it's because y'all made that. You recently, this is how I know this is spiritual. You recently did this whole video and caused this upstir about being in the new covenant and the old covenant. That's what made you go here, man. Like, this is really frightening. This one, because I know you know better than this. But you went here showing you that you went to a verse showing that you're in bondage under the old covenant. Y'all don't even deal with Paul. Y'all don't deal with Paul like that. Y'all say, oh, man, we it's historical. And he said some things, right? But you, like, we can't trust you with Paul. And we definitely can't trust you now with what you just said, how you mutilated this text. But Hagar, but Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. You ain't in that free Jerusalem. You still stuck on Mount Sinai. Sarah ain't your mother. You're not dealing with the mother of promise. You're dealing with a fleshly ordinance. And this where I had to stop. I couldn't see no more. Once I seen it, I couldn't watch no more your video. For it is written, rejoice, thou barren that bearest not. Rejoice, Sarah, woman of the promise, who bearest not. Break forth and cry, thou that travailest not, for the desolate have many more children than she which have an husband. Now we brethren, as Isaac was, are the children of promise. We in promise in this new covenant. We're not under bondage of Mount Sinai. We're not Hagar. Pray this thing was edifying. Y'all be blessed. We'll see y'all on the next one. Shalom.